Is anybody there?
Who wants to speak with us tonight? What's your name? There's a whole bunch of lights on this box. If you get close to it and talk, we can hear you. Are you a miner here, or did you work at the hospital? What did you do at the hospital? Did you own the mine, or did you own? What did you mine here? How did you make your money? Say that again. You have to speak louder, we can't hear you. A mining explosion, or? Well, if you own this, did you own this town, or did you just make a lot of money off the miners here? Okay, if you're not going to talk to us, we're going to move away from you.
Temperature has been steadily dropping since I stood over there.
Yeah. What was it?
Oh, it's like, okay, it's right here. Smile. Thank you. Bryce. I'm enjoying the conversation down there. He's in the middle of something. I know, that's what I told her. Like, he's in the middle of something. Make sure before I forget. Okay, guys, this is for our site.
Okay.
You can go back down. Okay. There you go. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry, just go ahead there. Thank you.
All right.
See, I'll put that on
Is
there.
everybody good? Let's move it on.
Go ahead, Jerome. Oh, sure. Where are we at? Watch your step up here, it's a little uneven pavement.
So right up here, you take a look at the church. It says it was built in 1894. More than a good room. Okay, so the church here says it was built in 1894, but that's incorrect. It actually burnt down in the fire of 1884.
Oh, we got a car. Oh.
Game off.
Every time.
Thanks for that.
I don't think there's a tour I haven't been on that somebody's like,
So, as I said, everything had to be rebuilt with brick. So if you look at the bottom, you'll see the stone foundation, the brick above when they rebuilt it. And what I think is really cool is they repurposed the wood from the fire for the frame of the windows. So it tells its story. That's why it's all charcoal. Oh, okay.
That's what you get for being original.
It's coming back down.
So there used to be a priest who worked here by the name of John. John had a maintenance man named Ed. John used to tell Ed, I have no money for you, but someday I'm going to give you this old gun. Well, Ed wasn't there doing maintenance, and he found over $200,000 in the wall. At that point in time, John stopped coming around. Ed thought that John was embarrassed that his reputation had been tarnished, so he went to go check on him. When he found him, he was on the ground in between the mattress and the wall, with a horse stench coming out because he was covered in his own feces. So he had him taken to the hospital and thought, well, that's some new clothing for John to change into. Originally, when he was looking around, he thought John was collecting things for the needy, but he soon realized that it was just an awful hoarding situation. What stuck out to Ed the most is that John was collecting massive amounts of left shoes. But not just any left shoes, they were all women's left shoes. So what I'm going to say next isn't documented, it's my personal opinion, but I'm still going to throw it out there, you can take it or leave it. I've watched a lot of criminal shows, and it sounds like John was collecting trophies. Yes.
trophies.
So he also had jars of urine in his cupboards, behind the couch, and under the bed. I would like to mention this was in the late 1970s, so it was not an outhouse issue by any means. Just being weird. John has actually come through, so we don't want to shine up there with the flashlight, just because that's a private residence. But John has come through before, and he's not a fan of me. He actually has called me a bee through the box. But I get it. I tell a story all day. So John did pass away in the hospital that night, but what's even more curious to us is that his house was arsoned. So we don't know if they set it on fire trying to cover up another crime, or maybe they were just so disgusted with what they found at the last night. And in this beautiful Victorian home, where outside we don't have to shine our lights, there used to be a woman who lived there by the name of Rosemary DeCamp. Now Rosemary moved to LA and she became a famous actress. She also wrote a book called Tigers in My Life. In her book, she details her experiences here. One of them is at the age of 15, she witnessed a murder take place right here in this church. So apparently a gentleman was getting married, and a woman did not like the fact that he didn't choose her to be his bride, so she ran up in the middle of the service and attempted to kill him. She missed, stabbed, and killed the best man. So, I know when you turn on the news today, you hear about this kind of stuff, but unfortunately it's the sad world we live in. But in the late 1800s and early 1900s, this was unheard of, which is that's why they call it the wickedest city. But even beyond that one, a little more that's disturbing, is that the engineer was having an affair with a teacher. One day his wife could no longer stand the rumors of infidelity, so she actually found the teacher down on Main Street with a jar of acid, ran up to her and completely doused her in it. Yes. I would like to mention another thing though. The smelter used to be located right up here at the top of the mine. So, it actually killed off all the vegetation here. This side of Mingus Mountain used to look like the other side. It was covered in 400-year-old ponderosa trees. But the smelter killed it all off. Even those that were not working in the mine were getting sick with lung pollution. So, the reason it was so toxic is because they're using arsenic to separate the precious metals. Right? So they're just sitting here all day breathing in arsenic. And I know this is going to be hard to believe with 80 full-time working bordellos, but at one point in time we also had a syphilis epidemic. And that does make you lose your mind in the end stages. Some people like to make excuses for good old John here and say, oh, he probably had syphilis. Which I kind of get it, because he was finger painting the inside of the church periwinkle blue and doing some strange things. So he probably did lose it, but that doesn't make you a serial killer. So, Also, I forgot to tell you about Roberto, that beautiful blue Victorian home I told you about. So there's a gentleman who lives there who also grew up here. His father was a miner. He left and then he came back. So Roberto wrote a book called Rich Town, Poor Town, first-hand experience. That's why I like to tell you the titles of these books in case you want to read it later. Yeah, but he too believes that it was a lot more than 7 to 10 just because he used to see how many miners were coming in and just disappearing on a regular basis. So if you're history buffs or interested in it, it's definitely a good one to read.
What was that first book you had mentioned? The Tiger...
Tigers in My Lap.
Tigers in My Lap.
So hers isn't just fully about your own, that's where Roberto's is.
Okay.
Hers is a mixture of a couple things, but she does talk about this murder that took place here.
Okay.
But his is pretty good. Like I said, he grew up watching it with his father being a miner. So he doesn't have the perspective from the company and above, like, you know, depending on which book you read, they'll be like, oh, Mr. Clark was a nice man to the community because he had 2 pools built. I'm like, okay, I guess we could just forget about the rest. Like, that's the pool.
Hell, we have swimming pools. Who cares about the rest?
Step. Step.
Thank you.
So I like this side a little better than that one because there's a big drop off at the end.
Step up though.
I guess it's pretty slow right now, so it's quite calm. Like it's gonna come out of nowhere, you know? Oh my. I know, I was like, I guess it could.
Step.
Okay, so I like to take a little break right here, because if you take a look at Bobby D's, which is that red circle sign down there, on the top of it, it says English Kitchen. The reason that it says that is because it was once owned by a Chinese gentleman who was letting people know that he spoke English. And that they were more than welcome to come on down to his opium den. So when he passed away, they found a large quantity of opium in a tunnel leading from his basement directly up into the mine. So under Jerome is over 88 miles of tunnel system leading from the mine up into some of the businesses, homes, and units here. It's pretty cool, right? So not only are we built on a sinkhole with 4 major fault lines running through it, we also have 88 miles. It's interesting to me. It's all very, very fascinating. Which leads me into this building here. This building was built in 1918 for the nurses. It has a ton of activity that takes place in here. There's also one of the tunnels that has been backfilled, but we have captured some of the orbs floating around in that. So we do think it's those that died in the mine are right here in this building. So in 1953, the mine closed down and we had a mass exodus. At that point in time, people were trading in their homes for groceries, leaving with the clothes on their backs, and I even read that parents were giving away their children in hopes that they would not starve to death. Yeah, they went from over 20,000 people down to about 50. That's how sad it was.
Is this a private residence now?
Yeah, it's a mixture of commercial and residential.
How about the tunnels? Do people ever go down there? Or they all
So
close in?
they either collapse or they can backfill.
Okay.
So yeah, they don't want people in there just because of how harmful it can be for people's health and safety. So with that being said, there was a lot of people that left, so a lot of the buildings were left abandoned. So there was a gentleman who was squatting in one of the units here, and he did commit suicide by hanging. And next 5 people to occupy that unit also committed suicide. So my friend lived in there. But don't worry, she's still alive. But she did say that she always had to sleep with the lights on in the bathroom, and that she'd feel an entity come around that made her feel really sad and depressed inside. So she started talking to people around town, like, guys, there's something really wrong with my unit. And they're like, well, duh, you live in the suicide unit. So apparently, everybody knew about her. She then moved out down the street, but about a month ago, she did tell me that she's still being woken up at 3:17 a.m. So I was like, all right, Jamie, you should be helping the spirit, because it obviously feels like there's something about you that it connects with. She's like, no, Courtney, I'm not doing it. So she comes with all these stones and sage. We're on 2 different paths here. I like to work with them. She's like terrified. She's actually literally considering moving out of Jerome now. Yeah, she used to actually work for us, and she's actually not doing it anymore because she's just doesn't want to be anywhere around the spirit that was on her place. So there was also a gentleman who lived in. Well, I mean, I don't know how far they can really travel, and I don't think it's trying to scare her. I think there's certain energies that they might communicate with or connect with. But she wants nothing to do with it, so that's why I said she doesn't want to work anymore doing anything with this. Nor does she want to be here, which I understand and I respect that. So also there was a gentleman who lived in one of the units with his son. Their house was arson. So anybody who has occupied that unit since says that the appliances move and the stove turns on its own. So it scared a woman so bad she actually hired a medium to come in and tell him, this isn't your home anymore, you're not allowed to be here. But the activity did not cease, so she moved out. After that, there was a gentleman who lived in there who had a bad hit. So I'd like to mention, he did not believe in spirits, by the way, but he was down for 3 days. He said after the first day and a half, he felt like giving up, but that a spirit came to him and told him to hang in there because they would be there in 2 days. Again, why I say they're not trying to be scary. To me, it makes sense. They were turning on the stove because they're trying to communicate in the way that they know how. Their house was arsoned. But he came to this man, and he said, yeah, I felt like really giving up. So he was very grateful that the spirit came to him. He too did move out as well, but still, he was grateful for it. So also, the owner of Jerome Ghost Tours, when he first moved in, he said that he had a gallon of water on the counter. He was turning around to grab his groceries. When he came back up, it was sliding across the counter and busted into the wall. He said he was so scared he wanted to go knock on the neighbor's door to see if he could spend the night. But he didn't want to make himself look like a weirdo, so he stuck it out. But they must have worked it out because he still lives there, so I think they're roommates now. I too used to live in this unit, so I was woken up by a spirit in the middle of the night. It was a woman that was standing there for about 4 seconds and she disappeared. And I told her, I'm like, you had all day to talk to me. Now again, I'm used to this, so it doesn't scare me. But she did. She had all day. So I rolled over and I went back to bed and I woke up to 3 taps on my back right here. 1, 2, 3. So I rolled over and thought that it could have been my daughter, but this hand was covered by the blanket and the other hand was covered by her head. At that point, I knew it was the spirit again, and I was like, hey, I'm really tired. We can try this tomorrow. So I don't know, maybe they're trying to get back at me because I show up to their place unannounced all the time, and they're like, let's show her what it feels like. Because I didn't feel threatened by it, but I also felt like she wanted to wake me up more than once. So we're going to head on down to the house and park.
Oh, I'm under five.
Very strange way to build a home. Some of these houses are going through the low of the hill, and I'm just like, wow. I'm amazed by how they did that way back then. It's impressive. So I'm about to take you into this unit here because a double homicide did occur. But don't let that detour you. They're actually really friendly, happy-go-lucky party spirits. They tell me they like whiskey and cigars, yes.
Oh, nice.
So there's a tunnel that comes out of the closet in here that has collapsed, but it's still cool nonetheless to think about the fact that they're bringing through opium and the alcohol, that they were using these tunnels. I'm just fascinated by the tunnels. But anyway, the story goes, a man came in through the tunnel, he shot Mike, and then he shot Ruth, who was in the bathtub. Now, Ruth is extremely soft-spoken, so you do have to listen pretty closely to hear her. I get the best spirit box and EMF communication inside of the kitchen area. And then you can go off to the right to take a look at the collapsed tunnel. Let's go in and say hi.
Anyone here?
Is it okay that we're here?
Excuse me, I'm going on my own. I like it.
So in there is where I was getting the man using it as a form of communication. So this part's pretty cool. I'll make it bigger. See the needle moving now?
Yeah.
I had never seen anything like that, so I thought it was the coolest thing. Another time, that REM pod was going off like crazy, right? So I was like, I gotta record this because it's pretty cool. So while I'm recording it, just around I heard a thud on the wall over here, and my phone goes super blurry, and then they ended up killing my phone in the end. You see how it's all blurry? And then it just died. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Anybody else want to talk or chat with them? Sit down and say hi, invite them to come sit next to you. You like you sit on the couch? That's the truth. Is that how you treat yourself? That's not good. Is that how you treat yourself?
It's close?
Yeah, so yeah, that one ends with
I just heard Ruth. Let's get this one.
Mike.
Hi, Mike and Ruth. Are you here with us? So I thought somebody like turned a light on. I was like, make up right in there.
Oh my gosh. Something else, right over there hanging out with me. Just kidding.
I like to hang out in our corner.
I'm just kidding, it's not. I just like to mess with people.
Whenever I find someone hanging out in the dark by themselves, I always gotta say that.